Alrighty, camera good, everything cool. Alrighty, we're down to the top 4. I probably should have done top 5, but things escaped me as I was doing these videos. Either way, number 4 on my list is the movie that gave me some hope to understand horror films. As a kid, I was terrified of every type of horror film. Just the simple soundtrack to the Halloween movie was terrifying to me. And I remember in school when they would have horror themed pep rallies and stuff, they would play various theme music from scary movies. I would be the kid like this, just closing his fucking ears, terrified because I didn't want to hear the music. It was terrifying and so on and so forth. But eventually I got out of that because that was when I was really young. And most kids do that. When you hear scary noises, you just fucking close your ears and you don't want to hear that shit. When you get older, you eventually start getting that little bit of a rush of just like, you know what, I can do this. I can watch this movie. And my father showed me this little movie called Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The first technical horror film I ever watched all the way through. Yes, it's nowhere near scary. Yes, it is a comedy at its essence. But it has 3 iconic, truly amazing actors and just in general monster characters of all time. The Wolfman, Dracula, and the Frankenstein monster, played by Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., and Glenn Strange, respectively. You have 2 comedic icons and 3 of the most terrifying black and white era monster creatures ever to be put on film in one movie film. That's fucking mind-blowing. That, I wish I could have been somebody in the theater watching this for the first time in a theater. That would have been so amazing, and I have nothing but respect for this movie because it made me laugh as well as creep me out just a little bit. But it's an amazing comedy gem that should never be missed, and I'm definitely going to be watching that during this Halloween. So I did review this in more in depth of what my thoughts are on the movie. Link in the description below for that. I reviewed that for the same with A Nightmare on Elm Street. My apologies, I completely forgot about that as well. I believe I reviewed that too. Shit. Links in the description below and whatnot. Number 3, something I need to get off my chest. Torture porn. I get it. It's a terrifying, nasty thing that people may be into or not. I, for one, am technically not into that shit. I say technically because I love the Saw films. And I'm talking about all of them. I don't agree with any of the methods and terrifying ways of killing people. I don't agree with any of that. I don't find that good at all. But it makes for one very interesting, intricate storyline with one of the newest iconic characters of horror, and that is the character of the Jigsaw Killer, but I prefer just Jigsaw, or the man behind that, John Kramer. Tobin Bell, wow. I never even heard of the guy before I even saw the first Saw film. And oddly enough, I started with Saw 3. I remember recording it on a DVR and just seeing how much horror films have changed. And granted, this is technically more of a psychological film than just horror, in my opinion. The story was so intricate in terms of the characters weaving itself throughout these entire films. While some of the films, yes, were lacking in story and acting, I definitely get it, and writing, and even direction. But the very fact that at least by eventually the end, saw the final chapter, God knows that's probably not true, but I enjoyed every minute of it. It was such suspense, emotional driven films, mainly the first 3, because they were written by James Wan and Lee Whannell, the original director and actor that was the character of Adam in the first Saw film. They knew what to do. They've made such amazing horror films. The Conjuring and Insidious 1 and 2, and Dead Silence, in my opinion, was a very overlooked film. But this franchise was just one hell of a ride. and nothing will be like it anytime soon. Some have imitated it, but nothing's come close. The character of Jigsaw is a true horror icon now, and Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith, and a slew of other people that played other iconic characters. Dr. Gordon, played by Carrie Elways. Just a fucking awesome franchise, and if you have the time to ever really truly sit through all of them to see how the story ends, some were disappointed. I was fairly just thinking, you know what, they went this far, at least they figured most of the knots out of the story, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't know why people shat on these movies. People just thought, oh, they're cranking one out again. At least it didn't completely shit itself like Paranormal Activity did last year. Number 2, Shaun of the Dead. This is the main film that truly got me to see the Saw films and everything else preceding it. This movie, you know what? This movie is the very thing what really got me into horror films. And granted, I have never even seen that many of them to some people. People have seen hundreds. I've seen 200, maybe. But this film gave me the courage to see, no matter how much goriness and crazy zombie insanity happens, you can still laugh. With good writing, a superb direction, and excellent acting. I'm happy that a movie like that exists. And without that movie, I would have still probably been too fucking scared to see a horror film. And I reviewed that film as well, more in-depth thoughts, links to the description, and all that other good stuff. And number 1, granted it's definitely more of a comedy than a horror film, but considering there's nothing but ghosts and crazy ghouls and possession in this film, I think it counts. Ghostbusters. I was so lucky to see a screening with a buddy of mine. There was a screening with a quote-along feature. It was fucking awesome. I felt so happy. I felt like I was 10 years old again. I dressed up as a Ghostbuster twice as a kid. That's how much I love this. I love the TV show. I even got the complete animated series up here somewhere on my shelf. I love this movie, and I feel ashamed because I've yet to get it on Blu-ray. But I love this movie. I love all the characters. Bill Murray as Peter Venkman, Dan Aykroyd as Ray Stantz, Harold Ramis as Egon Spangler, Ernie Hudson as Winston Zedmore, Sigourney Weaver as Dana Barrett, and Annie Potts as Janine, and a slew of other people I'm forgetting right now. The Marshmallow Man, the fucking Proton Packs, the fucking Ecto-1, man. That's one of the most badass cars ever. I'm geeking out right now. I love this movie, and you may think right now, hey, wait a minute, if Abbott and Costello got you going with all this other stuff, you know, what the heck? Ghostbusters doesn't count? Ghostbusters came definitely after Abbott and Costello. I remember watching Abbott and Costello way more than I ever did Ghostbusters. It was very close, though. Very close. I think Abbott and Costello, and then maybe like 2 months later, Ghostbusters. So, very close. But either way, then I would probably thinking back, Ghostbusters and Abbott and Costello got me that energy to spark to see horror films. Shaun of the Dead solidified them. And I actually am able to see gruesome, terrifying horror movies now. Yay! And now I can't sleep for a few days if I see something truly terrifying. Woo! That should do it, though, for my list of my top 13 favorite horror-themed or horror films in general. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for just being patient. I feel terrible for not making more Halloween month videos. But I had family matters all month long that have been kind of up and about, and it wasn't until now I felt comfortable to making a video. I had my bit of a costume on, so if you excuse me, since I'm Iron Man right now, I gotta go fight crime. Thank you for watching. Comment below, like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff in between. Until next time, I'm Iron Man, and keep going to the movies.